Hello, hello. So, before we get into today's video on reinvention and rebirth, I am a perfectionist, so I can't start a new video without catching you up on some old footage. So here's a quick 1-minute debrief of some things I've been up to. I've really been struggling with my body image lately. More to come on that later in the video. I got a standing desk, which might be my best purchase of 2022 so far. I feel so much more productive when I'm standing and working. I also got this cutie little monitor riser that matches the desk perfectly. I've finally started getting some art on my walls after 6 months of living here. Just one wall so far, everything else is still bare, but we're getting there, slowly but surely. I've been buying some new clothes that I feel confident in to really help with my body image, and I'm actually making an entire video on this, so stay tuned. Besides that, I've been cooking a lot, rewatching Stranger Things to prepare for chapter 4, and eating so many of these Whole Foods cookies. They're the brown butter cookies. You can find them. I found them in the hot bar aisle in like the standalone freezer where the mochi usually is. They're so good. We've been eating them like every night, pretty much. And my online sobriety meetings have been going really well. If you want to join Steph's Sober Squad, whether you're sober curious, the link is always down below. It's a great place to be. I feel so thankful to have this community, especially during the periods of my life where I'm in a bit of a funk, as you'll see later in this video. My hair looks absolutely insane, but I'm not gonna fix it because you don't care. You don't care what I look like, hopefully. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. It has been a long time since I made a video. Not that long, it's been like 3 weeks. To be perfectly honest, I have been in a funk the past month or so. May was just not a great month for me. Neither was April. I was really hoping April showers bring May flowers, but May just didn't turn out to be that great of a month for me. So maybe we'll have some June flowers, May showers. Mercury was in retrograde, not blaming it on that, but I got sick, which threw me off and made when you're sick and everything is just harder and worse. I've really been struggling with my body image, like more than I ever have, which was hard to admit to myself and hard to go through. I mean, none of my clothes are fitting me, and I was just feeling really just not confident and just down. I've been going to an ED recovery coach, which I think I talked about in my last video, and that's been super helpful. And I'm actually making an entire video on this topic of body image and weight gain and like none of your clothes fitting anymore. That's gonna be my next video, and I'm walking you through how I'm getting through that time. And then just the state of the world and the mass shootings that have been happening. In terms of sobriety, someone brought this up in our meeting that this person felt somewhat jealous of people who could drink, because when all this stuff is going on, when there's so much hurt in the world, when the world just feels heavy and life feels heavy, people who can drink can numb it out and not face those issues for some time. And so that this person almost felt jealous of that, and I totally get that. There are times when I just want to completely turn my brain off, and I know I can never do that without the use of alcohol or drugs. So my mind is constantly going, and that's been the hardest part about sobriety, is just being with your thoughts all the time and not getting a break from them. So I do totally understand what she was saying, but everyone was like talking about it, and we reminded each other that drinking alcohol does not stop everything that's happening in the world. It does not postpone anything. It does not help anything. If anything, it just makes you feel better for maybe an hour or two, and then you immediately feel probably even worse than when you started. The anxiety, the shame. People who drink for anxiety, I drank for social anxiety, but it doesn't help your anxiety, it just postpones it. So yeah, you may not feel anxious in the moment, but you're going to feel anxious at some point when it wears off, and probably even more anxious than when you started. So I know that the world may feel heavy right now, and I just want to let you know that I'm thinking about you and just encouraging you to stay strong and be kind to yourself during this time. And when I feel like I can't do anything because the problems in the world are so big, just signing up for a donation or signing a petition or going to a protest, doing something that I can control helps me feel a little more in control of when the world feels so out of my control. So I hope that helps a little bit. I'm gonna switch angles so that we don't get bored before I talk about what I want to talk about. I want the theme of this video to be reinvention and rebirth. I just listened to a podcast episode on this. The podcast is Manifest with Tori DeSimone. I really like her manifestation episodes. I really like her productivity episodes because she really focuses on not being too hustle culture-y, and I feel like she has a good balance in her life. I will warn you, some of her older episodes, she went through her own relationship with food and body, and so some of her older episodes are actually quite triggering. So I will just warn you if you like start diving deeper, but I'll leave the episode that I'm talking about specifically in the description. But she really just talks about like reinventing yourself and having a sort of rebirth of yourself for a new season. She was talking about summer, but she mentions that you can reinvent yourself at any time you want. There's no bad time to do it. There's no correct time to do it. You can literally do it whenever you want. And that's kind of the mindset that I had to have in pulling myself out of this funk. I mean, I feel like I pulled myself out gradually. I think in order to pull yourself out of a funk, or in order to get yourself in a different headspace than you are currently, there has to be some sort of reinvention and rebirth of yourself. It's so easy to get in the mindset of woe is me and all these things are happening to me and I have no control over anything that's happening to me, but you have control over more things than you think. The way that I think about this in my own life is just because I've never been good at being compassionate to myself, just because I've never really had that much self-love or self-confidence, doesn't mean I have to carry that with me throughout my life. I can make the decision today to become a self-compassionate, confident person. And it's not gonna happen overnight, but I can make the decision today to work towards becoming that person. I can write in my journal about different things that a self-compassionate, confident person does, and then I can just start implementing little things like that throughout my day and throughout my life. And eventually that will lead me to become a self-compassionate and confident person. And it's kind of like the fake it till you make it type of idea. You know, maybe you're not what you want to be right now. That doesn't mean you can't get there. Maybe you've never been good with money, you've never been good at budgeting. That doesn't mean that you are doomed for the rest of your life. You're never going to be good with money for the rest of your life. You can put in the work, take some courses on money, ask for help, ask maybe a friend who you know is really good with money, and you can take those actionable steps to become a person who is good with your money. I was really caught up in, oh, I have not many friends near me where I live. All my friends live in another place. And I was starting to feel really lonely. But at the same time, I'm a horrible texter. My friends text me and sometimes it takes me days to reply or I don't reply at all. So I was kind of feeding into my loneliness by not replying to people, if that makes sense. Or I tell myself that I have really bad body image and that's just something that I believe about myself. But and then sometimes there's a day where, okay, maybe my body image is pretty good and I'm feeling good about myself, but my eating disorder voice or just my voice in my head will be like, oh, but you have negative body image, so you can't feel this way about yourself. You can't feel good about yourself. And then I'll start spiraling. So I have all these preconceived beliefs about myself that I just constantly and voluntarily feed into. The point that I'm trying to make here is that you have the capability to change your life. If you don't like something about your life, you can change it. You are not stuck in that situation. And I don't want people to get this confused with not being yourself. Like, I know for a fact I like to stay home on the weekends and watch movies and watch Stranger Things, and I would so much rather do that than go to a bar. So if I see all my friends going out to bars, I don't have to go out to bars just because other people are going out. It's about what you want to do and knowing yourself. And I think that's why sobriety is so great, because it allows you to try so many new things that you've never tried before, and you can pick the things that you like and leave the things you don't, and you don't necessarily have to stick with everything you try, but it's always good to try new things. Like, I went to a poetry reading on Wednesday. I just saw Ruby Kaur perform and it was amazing. I have no words. I need to process it. It was not what I was expecting at all, but at the same time, it was. I've never been to anything like that. Like anything like a poetry reading. Never in a million years thought I would be doing that, but I did. And it was great. There's a great balance that you can achieve between reinventing yourself and becoming who you want to become, but also staying true to yourself and knowing what you like and what you dislike. And once you find that balance, I think it's like the sweet spot. I was walking into my building thinking about how overwhelmed I was just with everything I have to get done this week. And by this week, I mean tomorrow and Tuesday, because I leave on Wednesday. And someone had left this book on the table. There's like a table downstairs where like people leave shit if they want other people to take them. I hope, because I've been taking stuff from that table. I mean, one sec. You know when people like put stuff outside of their house so that you can just pick it up from the sidewalk if it's free? Since we're like an apartment building, people do that outside, but then they also put it on this table. Because I just see like random stuff there. Why else would there just be random stuff there? So this was on there. It's a teacup full of little guys, girls, I don't know what they are. This one's my favorite. It's a little ghost. I don't know what that is, but essentially there was this one and like a ton of other stuffed animals on this table, and they all were new with tags. They all had tags on them, and I would walk by, one would be gone, then I'd walk by again, a couple hours later, another one would be gone. So people were obviously just taking them throughout the day because they were free. So I waited, and this was the last one that was there, so I was like, I'm gonna take it. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but anyways, back to this. This was on the table, overwhelmed, how to work, love, and play when no one has the time. And I was like, what a sign from above that this was on the table right as I was thinking that.